I am in mid-interview, thanks to his courtesy. He is holding over for another segment with Mr. Peter Schweizer, together with his wife, Rochelle Schweizer. He is the author of really, in a sense, appalling book, because it is called Disney, The Mouse Betrayed, Greed, Corruption, and Children at Risk. It's published by Regnery, which is a first-rate publishing company. I happen to know Mr. Regnery and the people who work over there, and they are very careful about the books that they publish, and they make sure that they are accurate. And this one has been vetted 6 ways from Sunday. It's very, very good. And what it is about is the terrible transformation of what we all once knew, at least those of us of a certain age, as the Walt Disney Company, which provided, clean, really good family entertainment where you didn't have to worry and everything, to a profits-driven outfit that has double the rates of injury in the industry in its theme parks, which refuses to cooperate with the police around Orlando, which retains on its payroll known pedophiles and voyeurs and things like that. They have sex crimes and everything else going on down there. Really a terrible situation, and we were right in the midst of this when, of course, we had to take a break for the commercials and everything. And when I was coming back, John, you'd sent Cameron out to retrieve me, as he frequently does, and I just realized that although they fired these people and everything like that very, very infrequently down there at Disney World, isn't that where we found Cameron? Didn't he come from Disney World, John?
Yeah.
I was afraid of that. Have you looked into Cameron's record?
I will do it now.
Please, geez, we've, we don't want to be hoisting our own petard here. Fortunately, we don't have any children working here, but I did notice, John, that there's been a hole drilled in the ladies' room, and that's the sort of thing that's going on down there at Disney World. And I was wondering, who around here could do a thing like that? I'm not saying it was Cameron, but maybe we ought to set up one of those cameras and see if we can find out who's doing this. Okay. Getting back to Disney, The Mouse Betrayed, Mr. Schweizer, one of the things I noticed that in the back of the book, to make the point that this is the real thing, you don't just quote from, you have actual reproductions of the actual documents, depositions and things like that in court cases having to do with these activities. Now, one of the things that I found, and I want to warn everybody now, some of this is particularly disgusting. I'm going to try to use euphemistic language so that, one, we don't get in trouble with the law enforcement or what have you, and second, we do get the message out, though. There was this case where they were apparently harassing some young employee or doing something like that, where they handcuffed him and then stripped him naked and bent him over backwards, and they were using rubber gloves, and they were coming up with they were doing anal inspections or something like that. What in the world was that?
Yeah, that was really one of the other horror stories that we discovered. Down in Disney World, in addition to having their own large security force, they have their own fire department. They have 4 firehouses at Disney World property, and they're Disney employees. And we found in court depositions that 8 firefighters that have worked there have testified under oath that they were basically sexually assaulted by fellow workers. When they would join the firehouse, a group of employees would grab them, pin them to the ground, strip them of their clothes, insert objects in their behind, pens, a variety of other objects, and this was a repeated form of harassment that took place over the course of more than 10 years.
Did any of them use a cigar?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
So far, only in the Oval Office do we have that.
Yeah, I mean, these were very serious and aggressive attacks, and what's interesting is Disney in 1995 had a member of the Orlando Police Department come in to investigate, to conduct his own investigation, because they'd received complaints about these forms of harassment. He did, and he found in his report that, yes, there had been these attacks that had taken place. Disney took that report and then did nothing. Nobody was disciplined, nobody was fired, there were no repercussions whatsoever. The only real repercussions for Disney are that 3 firefighters have filed lawsuits against Disney, and Disney, which is a company that really very firmly defends its legal position, has settled 2 of those cases out of court because the evidence was pretty overwhelming. The other thing about these attacks that are so amazing is they didn't happen in a dark corner somewhere in the firehouse. Indeed, as is mentioned in the testimony, they would announce it over the public address system that they were going to attack somebody.
Oh, well, like that. For those of you in the line to be attacked sexually, just be patient. This is a holiday, after all, and we do have an excessive crowd, but we will get to your little behind in plenty of time for you to have a real good time in the sexual harassment theme, the deal here. This is wild stuff. Holy smoke. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, the proof is in the pudding. He's got the actual copies of these documents. That's where I learned of it. I mean, in reading his book, I was looking at this stuff. I said, "Holy smoke!" And there it is. He's got the goods here. And the name of the book is Disney: The Mouse Betrayed, Greed, Corruption, and Children at Risk. Peter Schweitzer. Now, the Disney company must know about these things going on. Did you confine your research into this just to Disney World on this coast rather than Disneyland, I think it is, on the other coast? Yeah,
we primarily did Disney World because Disney World has a special status. In 1967, the Florida legislature basically set up a system whereby Disney World is its own local government. So they have an authority that doesn't apply to Disneyland, but the section on Disney World is about 1/3 of the book, and then the rest of the book is about the Disney company. For example, we have a chapter on animation, and there's been this controversy about, have they been putting, strange themes into animation. So we went and actually just talked to the animators who did the films, and so there's a general section, of course, on animation as well.
On animation, yeah. One of the things that I have found somewhat disturbing is that they will take classic stories. Now, you take the story. The correct name of the book by Victor Hugo is Notre Dame de Paris, and people persist in calling it, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then they'll take a classic story like that, and they'll just ruin it.
Yeah.
And then they'll take, the Pocahontas legend, and any resemblance to anything that actually happened is purely coincidental and what have you. And that's messing with history. That bothers me, but that isn't necessarily corruption in the sense that you're exposing here. We just got J. Keith Knopf, who is one of our frequent faxers, says, Gordon, the Clinton administration, a Mickey Mouse presidency, presenting 101 Damnations, starring Goofy Al Gore, Dopey Bill Clinton, Fairy Godmother Barney Frank, Grumpy Janet Reno, and the evil stepmother Hillary Clinton. Oh, jeez. Oh, my, you might want to make an appendix in your book. Put that in here. Tell me about this, these animators. I know that is a particular skill, and you just don't find animators all over the place. So they really sort of give these guys a pass, don't they?
Yeah, they do. We interviewed the animators that were, the head of story and the co-writers of the script for Hunchback and for Lion King and for Mulan and all the recent great hits. And it was really amazing how candid and open they were with us. They told us that basically today at Disney, there is a political correctness that applies to the films, that we were told directly that there's a feminist twist to all these stories, that the heroines, if you look at the heroines, the problems in their life are caused by the men in their life, whether it's their father or a boyfriend that they might have. We were told that there are gender-sex politics that are put in these films intended for young kids. We were even told by animators on the record that there are gay characters now in Disney animation.
Oh, yeah?
Those are not my words in my description, that's their description. And,
holy smoke.
These are films intended for 5-year-olds.
Which one of the dwarfs is a homosexual?
Well, it's actually in The Lion King. I don't know if you saw The Lion King.
No, I don't watch these things.
There are 2 characters that are actually now an animated cartoon, Timon and Pumbaa, which are this little meek rat and the his friend.
I can understand that because in Great Britain, the slang term for a homosexual, which comes from the British military, is a poofter. So that doesn't surprise me. Oh my! This book, Disney: The Mouse Betrayed, it's got so much stuff in it, and it's just appalling what they're doing to our culture and to the culture and to the children. What is the answer to this? I know that, what is it? Was it the World Baptist Conference that condemned Disney for these actions and recommended to its adherents that they not patronize Disney enterprises?
Yeah, there have been
right on that?
Yeah, there have been some boycott efforts. You know, we think that people just need to kind of know what Disney is doing and then make up their own decisions.
Yeah, I mean, who would knowingly take the child to Disney World, knowing that it's full of pedophiles and this stuff is going on, and that Disney's is allowing it to happen? Tell me about this special status that they have. In other words, they couldn't stonewall law enforcement if they did not enjoy this special status.
Yeah, well, there are two things. First, in Florida, unless it is a capital crime, you are not breaking the law if you don't report the violation of a crime. And so that's one protection that they have. But in 1967, the Florida legislature allowed them to set up something called Reedy Creek, which is in a sense a local governing authority. That means that everything from zoning, if Disney World wanted to build a nuclear power plant on its property, there's nothing the state of Florida could do to restrict them. But in a more practical way, what it means is that law enforcement, Reedy Creek, basically has the authority to set up a local police department. And the way they've set up the local police department is, instead of actually hiring law enforcement officers who work for the local government, they simply contract it out to Disney Security. So you have a private company that is providing, in a sense, policing services for the area.
Would I be far wrong if I would suggest to the good citizens of Florida that they could go a long way toward cleaning up the situation down there at Disney World if the legislature would revoke that charter and make them subject to law enforcement the way all the other political subdivisions in the state of Florida are?
I think that's an excellent suggestion. That's what really gives them the power to run their own 911 system. If you're the victim of crime at Universal Studios and you dial 911,
you get the police.
You'll get the police. Disney World, you get Disney Security. And of course, they're there to protect their corporate interests, not the people that are visiting the park.
That is a remarkable disclosure. All right, I've just been reminded by my heartless producer, Mr. Pop, that you have other appointments. This isn't the other show you're going to be on, the only show you're going to be on. Ladies and gentlemen, my thanks to Peter Schweitzer for staying over this long. This is just some of the appalling things that are going on in the Disney Corporation in general and in Disney World in particular. If you want to know, I would say that if you've got children, and they're all being conditioned, by advertising and everything, I want to go to Disney World, I want to go to Disney World. Before you undertake to take a child to Disney World, you would be irresponsible as a parent if you did not first read Disney: The Mouse Betrayed, Greed, Corruption, and Children at Risk by Peter and Rochelle Schweitzer, published by Regnery. So, you won an award, didn't you? You're an award-winning journalist.
Yeah, we did win. Actually, Brian Ross, the ABC guy, when he was at NBC, we won. The team that I was part of won the Overseas Award for Investigative Journalism.
That's great.
Yeah. And Brian Ross is a great journalist. I mean, he's one of these bulldog journalists. And they asked him to resign over the story, and he refused.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they had signed us to a contract. They had agreed. ABC News had signed an exclusive contract with us. They'd sent us letters assuring us that they weren't going to spike the story. This was all back in June, and then Brian went down there and he spent like 2.5 weeks down there with a film crew, and you know how expensive that is, shooting it. And then at the 11th hour and 45th minute, they pulled the plug.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what they did with Silent Coup.
Is it?
Yeah, exactly what they did. And it was, Mike Wallace went down and examined all the evidence, said, wow, this is dynamite stuff, this is great stuff, and everything's going to be a great program. And then, like a week before it was supposed to air, pulled the plug. Yeah, and that's...
Did you ever have any sense of what happened? What specifically
happened?
Happened?
I mean, when they realized that it went against the the conventional wisdom, which was wrong. This book really explained what Watergate was all about. I mean, even I hadn't known. And it showed all the instances of the perjury by John Dean that put people in jail. And I mean, it's one thing to testify against your associates. It's another thing to perjure yourself when you're doing it. It's really a bad thing. But they had such a big investment, the Nixon haters did, in this other stuff, that they just pulled the plug on. And they've been trying to suppress it ever since. And you will find that people will continue to try to suppress your book. I mean, it won't be just that one instance.
Right.
Disney Company's very powerful, and they will try to do it.
We have only been, I mean, I probably have done already, a lot of radio interviews, and there are more planned. I think there's only one scheduled with an ABC station. I mean, I just think...
And that guy will probably end up fired. He'll be working for us. So this is CBS, so we don't have a problem.
Yeah. I figured there probably wouldn't be a problem even if it were ABC. You're pretty independent-minded, which is good. But
that's true. I have it by contract. I have control of the content of my, so long as I stay within the law. I mean, we can't use mouth words that will endanger the license of the station.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, the content I control here.
That's important to have. No question about it.
Okay.
Brass Check TV, free to you, not free to us. We've got a server bill, we've got an email software bill, we've got a tech helper bill, and that happens every month. So to everybody that is supporting us financially, that's paying for their subscription in one way or another, we really appreciate it. If you're not, consider doing so. Everybody's got money for the newspaper and the cable bill and all that. Do you have money for media that's actually serving you? That's really the issue here. And when you help us, it allows us to get this information out to the world. So thanks to all our supporters, and if you're not a supporter already, please consider becoming one.